It's the great time to introduce our first speaker. His name is Vitaliy Deputat. That is an amazing speaker. He is the founder of AdHouse Digital Advertising with over 13 years of experience in startups and knack of multitasking. Vitaliy thrives in diverse teams of multi-competence professionals, all working together under a horizontal hierarchy. Vitaliy expertise lies in the learning of digital data-driven marketing. He has an extensive background in various digital marketing platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Google Ads, SEO, and social media marketing. Today, Vitaliy will be sharing a captivating case study titled How We Grew Organic Traffic from Zero to 2,500 Visitors by Just Optimizing Content. Let's give Vitaliy our full attention and get ready to learn from his valuable insights. Warm welcome to Vitaliy Deputat.
Hello, everyone. Let's start with checking if we
Yeah.
have a connection here, if the sound is okay. Is everything okay?
Yes, perfect, Vitaliy. We can hear you
Okay,
so good.
great.
How are you
I'm
today?
I'm good. I'm a bit nervous because this is my first public speech in quite a bit,
Wow.
but I've prepared some quality content for you, and I hope it will
Wow.
be useful.
Yeah, for sure. Let's start this party.
Okay, well, my name is Vitaliy, and I am essentially working and doing marketing work in Ottawa, Canada. I'm originally from Ukraine, but since I immigrated to Canada, I have most of my clients are from there. So today I wanted to share with you a case study well, this is an ongoing case, and so basically, as the title suggests, this is a case where we grew organic traffic from 0 to 2,500 visitors by doing a simple thing, and that is just naming products the right way. And I will go through that in a little bit. So in my presentation, I'm going to be improvising a bit and then relying on my notes a bit. So if there's any pause of any kind, please forgive me. Um, so, okay, let's move on to slide 2. All right, so this is the old and the new website. I just wanted to give you to start by giving you a bit of a background about this business. It's a local family-owned business, and it's owned by a Ukrainian family who have worked in the niche of shoes for the last 15 years. Great people, great professionals in what they do, and they specifically deal with people who have problematic feet, and they have helped hundreds, if not thousands, of people to find comfortable footwear for their feet. And so the story of this project starts in late October, November 2019, where the store owner called me up and said he wanted a website. He disappeared then for 2 years and resurfaced only in 2021. Little did we all know that back then that COVID would hit and the pandemic would start in just 2 months, locking down all brick and mortar businesses and pushing them to the brink of bankruptcy. So setting up an online store was a matter of survival for them. In fact, when we talked, it was the situation was it's either we close or we start selling online. So originally they had a WordPress website, which was built back in 2017. No e-commerce, just a few pages of text. Old and the new website are on the slide that you can see here. So essentially, what was done is we took a template and then just kept working and modifying and tweaking it. All right, so this was the introduction there, and so I'm moving on to my next slide. Okay. All right. So a few things of what was done. So, like I said, we performed a number of optimizations, which included both global and local SEO. And here is what we did all together. Well, first of all, if you're doing an e-commerce business, it's best to always switch to Shopify. My core expertise is actually media buying, is advertising, and I have seen it times and times again that Shopify, like there is no better platform than Shopify. So the choice was obvious there. The business had over 1,400 different shoe types and brands, and we had to actually transfer it all online. It took us 4 months to do it. One of the most important things that we did was giving all products proper titles, and I will speak about that in a little bit. Okay, so this is what was done for global SEO. We transferred all of their inventory online. We gave proper titles to the shoes, implemented the headline structure, and we took all the product descriptions directly from manufacturers or competitor websites. Content was not original, yet it didn't hinder organic growth. And I'll speak a little bit about that in a short while. So in terms of local SEO, obviously being a physical location, they did have their Google My Business, which is now called Google Business Places profile. Um, we added a bunch of pictures, gave clear instructions how to get to the store, and yeah, that had a visible impact. And they started getting a lot more foot traffic. Okay, checking back with my notes here. Basically, this is the results that was achieved. This is a snapshot from Google Analytics where we see that the segment of organic traffic went in April this year went up as high as 2,500 organic visitors. We are actually on track to reach, I think we will hit 3,000 in the month of May because traffic is still growing and all the keywords and positions are still growing. So I know at some point we'll hit a plateau, but so far we are still in that growth stage. Okay. Um, what we did here, we just did two main things which were really foundational. It's number one, naming the products properly and organizing all the products according to their types and categories essentially. Competition was very hard there, and some of the bigger competitors had websites as old as 20 years old. So we had really to make sure that the website is structured properly to outrank them, and we managed to achieve this result. So in this case, this is still a work in progress, and in 3-4 months from now, we will probably have more valuable and insightful information. And having said that, let me flip to the next slide. And these were the two main strategic considerations that essentially got us the result that I was talking about. First, what was done, and like what was the first thing that we did? And if your answer is planning and analysis, you got it right. So the two strategic decisions that we made in hindsight were we realized that um, since we had so many products that would go online, there would be over 1,000 different pages. And if we named them properly, some of them would easily rank on top positions. And in hindsight, this was the right decision. The second thing, it was important for us to make sure that whatever they have in the warehouse would be synced and would be up to date with what the website says. In other words, if the client wants to buy a pair of Echo shoes, if they order that online, most of the competitors would say, or rather, very often competitors would say, "I'm sorry, this was a mistake. This item is still showing as in stock on our website, but it's really out of stock, so we cannot sell you this pair of shoes, and we would have to refund you payment." Fortunately, this was not the case with us. So we set up a POS system, meaning we have a terminal, we have a checkout system, and the warehouse is actually fully synced to what we have online. And this helps this business a lot. All right. Um, Most important, like I said, was the product research. Before starting the project, I didn't realize that there was such a variety of shoes and shoe types. Take a look at this slide, for instance. These shoes all look very similar, but they're each a different type. Here we have slides, here we have loafers, here we have clogs, and there is actually a lot more categories. So all that had to be thoroughly researched, and this was foundational to the success and the results that we received. Before that, all I knew was women's shoes, boots, sandals, walking shoes. Turns out there is dozens, if not hundreds, of different shoe types. For sandals alone, for instance, there is up to 10 different types of sandals. And if you use that in your SEO, um, you will see the benefits. Okay, so we pulled this information about the shoe classification from the store owners, and they were only happy to help. If I just relied on online tools such as SEMrush or Ahrefs, I wouldn't probably be able to get anywhere close to the list we ended up having. So as a result, their entire inventory was entered into the backend with proper naming. All right, let's take a look at the next slide. So with shoes, it's interesting because there's constantly new shoe models coming out. Likewise, there are old models that are being discontinued, and that's why we constantly have something to enter into the system. To make things easier, we developed a naming pattern which goes like this. There is a brand name, then there is material, then there is gender. Gender meaning if whether so we specify if it's a shoe for males or females, and then we say what type of shoe it is. Like you see here on the screen, it's a Haflinger Flare soft wool slippers. And we use the same pattern essentially for every other shoe type that we had. Okay. And one of the important things is to make sure that the same naming, the same descriptors, the same words were also in the URL and H1s. Now, that being said, let me flip to the next slide. And so you can see here that using the example that I just gave you, in this case, Haflinger Flare soft wool slippers, we were able to rank #1 for this specific term without any backlinks. Yes, this is a low competition keyword with low volume, but then, it's all free traffic without any active link building. And when a whole bunch of such products ranks in your location, then you essentially garner a lot of organic traffic. Let's take a look at the other example, winter boots. Whoops, going back, sorry. Okay, I'll give it some time to refresh. So the next product that we did this for, well, essentially we did the same, applied the same principle to all the products, but the next example I want to use is Pajar winter boots. We use the same naming conventions, and for those, by the way, who don't know, Pajar is a manufacturer of winter boots from Montreal. So it's very well known. It's a very well known brand in Canada, and like people love it. Um, and so what essentially, like I said, we did the same thing, used the same pattern for naming, and as a result, the result was this. So for the keyword Pajar Boots Ottawa, we ranked #2, only outranked by the manufacturer of these boots. And note on this href screenshots that we have 0 backlinks, we have 0 domains in contrast to the actual manufacturer where they have over 1,000 backlinks and 400 domains. So it was a pretty easy win for us. Note that in the keyword they have the name of the city. In this case, it's Ottawa, and the reason why we were established as an authority in Ottawa is because there is a name of the city in the domain name. The domain name being Comfort Shoes Ottawa. And there's quite a few other examples where we actually outranked the actual manufacturer, and I'll show that in just a little bit. All right, so another brand I wanted to show you is FinComfort. So here we have a collection versus an individual item. This is a FinComfort shoe. I'm not sure if this is a North American brand for sure, just not sure if it's a US or a Canadian brand. And essentially we got the same result. Let me flip the slide here. And so you can see here that on the next slide, okay, I'll let it refresh for a little bit. I'll give it some time. All right, so retailer, which is my client, ranks #1 for the keyword Fit Comfort Shoes Ottawa, and the manufacturer ranks #2, which is pretty exciting. Again, there was no active link building. We just made sure that our products, our collections are named properly. So this is a pretty exciting fact. All right. So with that being said, let me move on to the next slide. And here I wanted to show you how this technique worked as far as generating organic traffic. So as you can see, in about 2 months, we started getting about 1,000 organic visits, and then after a while, we hit a plateau. Note that spike around November. I cannot unfortunately highlight it on the screenshot, but that is the sales season in the States. November being the month of the Cyber Monday and the Black Friday event. So people are naturally selling for shoes they can buy for cheap. Okay, and then after that, the season, like the search volume, the demand goes down, and as a result, we see a plateau. So after the first several months, we realized that we had hit a plateau and another set of optimizations had to be done. So we moved on further, and we did. Oh, I wanted also to show you another snapshot from Google Search Console, essentially showing the same. Let the slide load. All right, so we can see, you see the red bar there. We had hit a plateau, and organic traffic was essentially stable for several months in a row. And at that point, we started looking for other solutions. And here is what we did. Again, it, so I call it iteration 2. Um, we started we did several things. First was the technical website optimization, which of course is a must for any website. For me personally, I know there is a lot of benchmarks, and different bloggers speak about different metrics such as Google Performance Insights and stuff. The only metric I'm looking for is the website load time. My main requirement whenever I talk to the tech people is to make sure the website loads in 2 seconds or less. And it doesn't matter much how big the page is. The smaller, the better, of course, but speed is the most critical factor here. Now, the second step was adding product categories and adding them to the main navigational menu. And step number 3 was adding alt descriptions to all products. I'll stop on that on my next slide. All right, so this is the result of the technical optimization. Remember how I said we were using a template purchased from a template supermarket, essentially, and essentially the code there was extremely messy, and the programmers who were working on optimizing the content were actually pulling their hair out. But in the end, we managed to do it, and this is the end result. And I would say that when it comes to technical optimization, it's not much done for Google, rather for users. Users are very picky and very lazy, and if the website is loading in less than 2 seconds, they would simply close the browser and move on to another competitor. Um, Luckily, there is hundreds of them, and there is plenty of websites to choose from. All right, moving on, and we added categories to the menu. So I performed keyword research. There was sandals, there was walking shoes, there was ankles, and ankle boots, and you can see how many different categories they are. So it's not just men's shoes, women's shoes. It's they're like there's a lot of different categories, and this helped us to actually boost the traffic quite a lot. The third step was making sure there is a proper alt description to any image, to every image on the website. Remember, we had over 1,000 different product items, different products, and so adding alt descriptions to every image would give us about 4,000 to 5,000 optimized images, and this has helped us to get lots of it actually helped us in two ways. First, we got a lot of search volume from the actual image searches, and second, organic shopping results also received a solid boost. Let's take a look at the next slide here. So you see that little Okay, I'll again give a few seconds for the presentation to load. Just bear with me for a sec. All right, there it is. A snapshot from the Google Search Console, showing the volume of image searches, right? So the moment that we added those all descriptions, the volume of image searches doubled, and it's actually still growing. I see there is certain, you're starting to ask some questions, and these will be, I will have the chance to answer them after I'm done with the main presentation. So just bear with me and walk with me till the end, and then we'll deal with it. Okay, so okay, and here's the data from Google Analytics. Next slide. It will of course take some time to load, but you will see that in a second this slide will load and. Come on. Yep, there we have it. We received another boost in organic traffic, and this time we have actually reached our all-time high, which was 2,493 organic hits, from what I remember. And we're on track to reach 3,000 users this month. I don't know where it stops. I know um, we will at some point hit a plateau, but for now it's just growing, and this is great. Sales are growing as well. Okay, so these are the quick stats. Okay, next slide. We have to wait until it loads. It's taking its time. Again, sales, like I said, organic traffic hits all-time high, and make is likely to beat the previous month. And to date, there has been no link building activity. And when I say that, we did try um, to do some catalog registrations, but then it didn't have the results we expected, right? So I'm saying there is no link building activity because there was no consistent link building strategy. That is still something that is yet to come. So these are the main steps that were completed. I also have certain observations that I wanted to share. Of course, we did a lot more. And from my observations, certain things did help, did work, and certain things did not. So I wanted to take you through the things that actually did not work, because that might be even more important compared to what actually worked. Okay, so that being said, let's move on to another slide. First of all, behavioral metrics don't seem to matter much in rankings. I know Google speaks about that all the time. It doesn't matter. And from my experience, this is actually the first website where I have that many pages per session, almost 8, which means and the low bounce rate and the average session duration. All the behavioral metrics are actually great, but you remember that plateau from previous slides. It did not help rankings overall. So I saw from these metrics, I see that once the user lands on the website, they actually start looking for the pair of shoes for the items they're looking for, but it is in no way impacting SEO. All right, next slide. On my next slide, I want to talk about the indexing budget. If you have a page, if you have over 1,000 pages on your website, um, there is most likely going to be a problem with indexing, right? So when going through the Search Console data, I consistently saw that there was at least 500, 400, 300 pages that were discovered but not indexed by Google. So as a solution, we implemented a Google indexing API and submitted all the new pages to Google via a Python script. Or basically, how it works is you submit the URLs you want to get indexed through an Excel sheet, and in about 4 days, the content starts ranking. And so it takes 24 hours for the content to start getting seen by Google, and then another 3 to 4 days for it to actually start ranking. What didn't work? One of the things we did was local catalogs. The purpose of the catalog is to boost your local visibility, such as your Google business profile. We submitted over 70 plus catalogs, only 35 were indexed. It was done in November, but it had no visible impact. So I'm definitely lowering this in my priority list. On the next slide, you will see statistics from the Google My Business, or rather I should call it Google Business Places profile. The slide will load in just a little bit. And what you will see on this slide is that there is no jump up in the interactions with the social profile, with the Google Business Profile, right? So it starts with December. The optimization was done in November, and we actually see a decline after December, right? And then another wave starts in May, April, which is exactly when the shoe season begins. So there is no visible impact of catalog registrations, local citations, in other words. So I'm definitely lowering that. What didn't work, number two, is free local listings. So if you're working with a merchant center, you will see that it supports an integration, actually integrates with Google Business Places. And what it actually does is that integrates your product feeds with your Google Business Profile, allowing your clients to see all your inventory without actually having to land on your website. So when they pull up your Google Business Profile, they see all your shoes, they see everything you have to sell, which at first it seems very convenient and basically, yeah, convenient and should boost your traffic, your sales. And in reality, we didn't see much impact on that. So from that, so from roughly November 2022, we had only 6 sales, which is almost negligible, a negligible result. We spent quite a lot of time on getting first reviewed and approved by Google, then actually manually verifying all the inventory. But I would still do it, but I wouldn't expect much from this program and this option. What didn't work is another thing that didn't work, and while I speak, I will allow the next slide to load. We concentrated huge efforts on actually optimizing product descriptions from certain collections. And of course, having that many products, over 1,000, once again, just to remind you, we relied on ChatGPT, rewrote content, added some facts to make it more unique, and it didn't have any visible impact. Instead, optimizing product titles, adding proper H1s, H2s, and H3s increased the keyword visibility and improved rankings. Um, when we implemented proper headings, product collections started ranking, and before that, only individual products were ranking. So the three things that I would emphasize on are product title, the H1s, and collections, I guess. Moving on to the next slide. It's a quick summary with conclusions. So, like I said, proper naming conventions are foundational, and keyword research, of course, is the mother of it all. And it helped us in both driving organic traffic and free listings in the merchant center. The headline structure is super important, and it seems to be helping Google to better understand specific collections versus individual items, right? We want collections to rank versus items. Items can sell out, or they can go out of stock, but collections always remain. So that's an evergreen category, and we want to add to rank essentially. Implementing again, product descriptions didn't have any visible impact, although I know that unique content does help. Like this is from other products, from other projects. I know that it does help, but it seems to be that it seems that we need just a blogging strategy where we cover a specific type of shoe or a specific brand. And then finally, adding proper collections, sorting them by shoe types has given product rankings a solid boost. And this is the end of my presentation. Um, Thank you for your attention. And I guess now we could go over the questions.
Yeah, sure. Vitaly, thank you for your amazing speech. I see that we have a question from the Hit Mukhai about Seer. Is it right that AI generated content couldn't rank by Google? What do you think?
Um, there is several variables that doesn't allow me to speak with confidence on that. Like I said, we were creating product descriptions using ChatGPT, and it didn't seem to have any visible impact. Now, the two possible reasons that I see is it because the content was generated by ChatGPT that is not ranking, or is it just not important for Google to have content quality original content in the product description. So
Okay.
in regards to that, I'm not sure. And still, like, I do suspect though that if you that content by ChatGPT would still rank.
Okay,
It's
thank you
quite
so
possible to have the filters and get pessimized in the search results, but not at this point. Doesn't seem to be the case now.
Thank you. And one more question. What are the key elements to consider when optimizing a website for search engines?
Oh, it's always very simple. The website has to load quickly. The website has to be user friendly and mobile optimized. Make sure you have a big call to action button on your website. Specifically, check on your mobile screen. This is the first thing I always check when working with the websites. Many of them don't have that. And then, of course, proper headline structure and keyword research, H1s, H2s, H3s, and that's just the three key elements to this mix.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That was great answers. And now it's time to say goodbye. Wishing you all the best. Have a nice day. And we are looking forward to seeing you soon at our following conferences. Thanks again for your amazing speech. It was great.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.